Welcome back to the show. We got a great one lined up. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on X, YouTube, and digperspectives.com, ladies and gentlemen. And guess what? DAI and myself have teamed up with iTrust Capital, offer new clients an exclusive $100 funding bonus. Learn how iTrust Capital's powerful crypto IRA and new premium custody accounts, PCAs, platform can help build your financial future. Now, let's just get into this. If you come down into the premium account, custody accounts here, with our closed loop system, your crypto transactions stay secure. No external wallets, no unnecessary risk, just a trusted way to buy, sell, and custody with confidence. Institutional custody, award-winning U.S.-based support, low cost, no monthly fee, ladies and gentlemen, no sign-up fee, no open account fee. It's amazing what they've got going on here. And again, a closed-loop system with the PCA. And let me tell you, this is quite remarkable what they've done here. And I don't mind saying that when you call and talk to them, you'll find out, I believe they have like anything over $50,000 withdrawal is a video call for security reasons. How about that one? No limits to withdrawals either. This is a remarkable opportunity. Now, you guys know I have my assets split up on platforms and places that I trust, and you know exactly what they are, and iTrust has been one for years. Make sure you go to itrustcapital.com/XRP Army. That's how much they love us. itrustcapital.com/XRP Army and use the code at the bottom, XRP6. Yes, get started today. $3.37 trillion market cap for crypto. The market's off 1.6. Bitcoin 104,000 plus. Ethereum 2,500 plus. XRP is $2.15. We're up 1.1 on the 24, and we're off 3.6 on the 7-day. Range of price very quickly, 213 to 219. We'll keep an eye on it. Let's start right here. The audience. Will we see these omega candles where Bitcoin goes from 100K to 125K overnight? Let's listen to Matt Hogan, who was on stage at XRP Las Vegas. This guy is so smart.
Given all the demand you just outlined for Bitcoin that you see, and then your target for end of year, what do you think is most likely in terms of the way it gets there, right? Are we going to see these omega candles where Bitcoin goes from 100 to 125 overnight?
Yes.
Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I think they're air gaps because I do think the selling is behaviorally driven. I think that's the only rational explanation for why it's essentially treaded sideways and then ripped and treaded sideways, 72K and 100K. So I think it's behaviorally driven. What that means to me is once it releases its tether, which is an unfortunate word in crypto, once it releases its connection to 100K and it gets above that gravity, I do think it probably rips up to like 125K.
Wow.
So I think it's going to be a punctuated equilibrium of fast moves and sideways movements as it sort of burns through these behavioral reserves.
Wow, you factor in legislation getting passed and understanding where Bitcoin's sitting right now, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Looking right here, XRP surges in the spotlight as Canada's stock exchange, TSX, welcomes 3 groundbreaking ETFs in one day, unleashing massive institutional demand and reshaping the regulated digital asset investment landscape. That's right. 3 XRP ETFs debut in Canada in a single day. And you know what? You think the U.S. isn't sitting back going, okay, we got you. We know what's coming. We got 17 to 20 waiting for approval right here in the good old U.S. Take a look at this. Talk about proliferation of the digital asset space and the new digital on-chain economy. Charles Hoskinson, co-founder of Cardano, has revealed significant plans to go all in on XRP integration with Cardano's blockchain. You come down into this, And he says this initiative includes a series of projects to enhance cross-chain interoperability and expand Cardano's DeFi capabilities. This is according to George Tung, co-founder of Crypto's Us. It says the strategic move is like everything. June 14th, Hoskin himself confirmed in a response on X that his team is working on a full suite of tools to support XRP better. These include the Glacier airdrop, XRP-powered DeFi tools, and the potential integration of Ripple's Real USD stablecoin into the Cardano network. How about that? There's a whole XRP package with Glacier Drop, Lace Wallet support, XRP DeFi, and Real USD talks. How about that? Sounds like Charles has had one of those come to Jesus moments where he realizes it is better to be with them than against them, isn't it? Because there was a time. There was a time. Celebrating major OUSG milestones, $700 million total value locked up achieved, says Ondo Finance. With institutions increasingly coming on chain, OUSG demonstrates the market demand for tokenized products. This is what institutional adoption looks like, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. The same Ondo Finance that's bringing those treasuries, tokenized treasuries, to the XRP ledger in conjunction with BlackRock, baby. Yeah, that Ondo Finance. And by the way, everybody has a mafia. Didn't you know? Greg Kidd, who was recently on stage at XRP Las Vegas, breaks it down.
Silicon Valley, everything starts from something else. There's a PayPal mafia. There's a Ripple mafia, and so we think there'll be a global ID mafia, and so I've kind of been through some of those mafias.
Boy, I can tell you, Greg Kidd is really, really great on stage. This guy's electric. He can say some things, and it's because he's done a lot of things, right? It's not for nothing. What he's talking about is really about where all of these gems come from. Remember, the PayPal mafia is tied into the Ripple mafia too, right? Hello. It's all connected. Meanwhile, the U.S. Treasury Secretary here says crypto is not a threat to the dollar. In fact, stablecoins can reinforce dollar supremacy. This is a great clip. Listen.
There's a new book called King Dollar. A journalist who's followed Treasury for about 40 years.
Yeah.
And he talks about every time there was a narrative that the U.S. was going to lose reserve currency status, why it's never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And
because crypto, that seems to be a threat to the dollar, doesn't it?
I think it's the opposite.
Oh, really?
I think stable coins could reinforce dollar supremacy, because with stable coins could end up being one of the largest buyers of U.S. treasuries or T-bills.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden, if you are using a stable coin in Nigeria that's backed by the US dollar, you don't actually have to have dollars. It's on your phone. You can transact. So I think there's a very good chance that crypto is actually one of the things that locks in dollar supremacy.
And is that why it was crucial that Donald Trump get involved in crypto rather than trying to constrain it like Joe Biden was?
I think constrain's too mild a word. I think make it extinct.
Oh.
So this administration's commitment to digital assets, it's innovation, because there's so many other things that happen around digital assets. And also, it's one of those things that it's one of the most important phenomena that's happening in the world, and the U.S. just ignored it.
There you have it. Now let's keep moving because it gets better. This is Senator Haggerty on leaving Trump's Oval Office talking about the Genius Act. Take a listen to a piece of this.
Just left the White House. I was in the Oval Office talking with the president about this bill and the necessity to get this done quickly. If you watched the turns that this took to get to the point that we have with the United States Senate, and the fact is we have to have 60 votes to pass anything in the Senate. It's not done by a majority.
No doubt it's not done by a majority. Hang on. But wait, there's more.
That means I can't do it with the majority of Republicans. I have to have Democrats on my side to get through market structure. We have great momentum with this bill, but it's going to take some time. And if the House of Representatives sends back something that's different, then that's going to give those who are already opponents of the bill the opportunity to say, well, we tried, we gave you our vote, but, you changed it on us. And we're going to be right back to square one with a much more complex situation. I think the president wants to see this done quickly, take the win, I think is how he said it. And what we do then is build momentum from that, because I think the market is going to react in a very positive manner to this. The scare tactics that were used by those who wanted to see this thing torpedoed, those things aren't going to materialize.
That's exactly right. And by the way, what does it mean for Tether, ladies and gentlemen? What's going to happen to Tether? Well, he is asked. Senator Hagerty, the man who introduced and brought forth the Genius Act, is going to answer that right now.
Today, why doesn't Tether fit inside of the Genius Act? What about Tether makes it not compliant with the Genius Act?
Well, Tether can begin to comply, but the disclosure requirements with respect to revealing exactly what securities, they're segregated, they're U.S. dollar denominated, they're treasuries. That sort of disclosure has to be compliant. It has to be compliant with our laws here, and Tether would have to have an operation that was doing that. It can't be backed by other types of collateral. It's got to be very high quality collateral like U.S. Treasury securities.
As I understand it, Tether is backed by U.S. Treasuries in a large chunk of it, but there's also things like Bitcoin and gold, things that are very much not United States dollar denominated. So that really kind of changes.
It have value, but it doesn't meet the requirements here, and I think that's you're hitting right at the difference.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so if Tether wanted to be United States compliant, it would have to be completely backed by cash-like instruments. What would that unlock? What would compliance unlock for Tether if they did decide to trade their Bitcoin and their gold backing for just only cash-like instruments? What would that enable them to do?
They could also create an entity.
Oh, they could also create an entity. In other words, you could create a brand new company and start it the right way. That's what he just said. That's what he just said.
For just only cash-like instruments, what would that enable them to do?
They could also create an entity that can do this, and I would think that might be a logical path for them.
Yeah, that's the suggestion. You guys create a new company for your digital dollar, and let's start fresh from scratch. That's what that sounds like.
But what it does is it opens the door to them for what I would call the 21st century payment system. And if you think about what we're stepping away from, it's a pretty clunky system that's been developed 1970s, 1980s, the SWIFT system. If you think about the time that it takes to transact, particularly overseas transactions, and I'm presuming Tether's involved in a lot of that, the efficiency that this brings to bear is enormous. And the fact is that the dollar will be dominant in this system. And I think you want to be a player there. So I think there's going to be a lot of attraction for people who want to be involved in payments to make certain that they comply with our laws here. And again, that's going to be great for dollar dominance around the world.
No question about it. And then let's get to this. Ripple mints 10 million real USD while all of this talk's going on, as stablecoin demand soars, backed by U.S. legislative momentum and $251 billion plus market cap for stablecoins. Yeah. And then we got this guy, Mike Novogratz. Let's hear what he says about the stablecoin bill passing.
We still want to ask you about crypto. We want to make sure we're getting your thoughts there, because if you joined us just a couple of hours ago, we would have asked you about the stablecoin bill and what that actually means for the future of finance. You have, of course, companies tied to it, particularly Circle, just flying since its IPO. You run an investment bank. I'm sure you have thoughts about how that should have been priced ultimately. And you have companies like JP Morgan saying that they're going to get in a bigger way. Amazon, Walmart. Do you think something fundamental is going to change about the financial system now that that bill has crossed the Senate?
Listen, we set up Galaxy 2017 with the idea that institutions would finally come to the market, and they're here. And it's a really exciting time. We're going to get the stablecoin bill and then hopefully a market structure bill. And it's going to bring in TradeFi into this technology. We're going to see tokenized equities. We're going to see perpetual futures, which is a crypto idea, being brought into the U.S., both for crypto and for non-crypto. It's a different way of looking at derivatives. And so I think, like what I'm thinking from our firm's perspective is we're going to partner with people. We're going to have white label solutions for people, and we're going to have our own, solutions for our customers. that every crypto company is now thinking, how do we go to this next chapter?
There you have it. And how do we go to this next chapter? That is the question, right? Well, one of the things we need to go to the next chapter is for this case to be resolved, completely resolved, on a shelf, over with. And the SEC case is not delayed until August 15th. As we have said, just for clarity here, it is the abeyance that has been extended to August 15th. As both Ripple and the SEC await Judge Annalisa Torres's decision on their joint motion for an indicative ruling, Mark Fagel asserts that the ruling is anticipated at any moment with no set timeline. So head on a swivel, ladies and gentlemen. This could come a lot faster than anyone is thinking. By the way, it is about all the money,
what is
isn't it?
Ledger's total addressable market size? All the money. Nope.
That's exactly right. And that's what we're on track to see take place, ladies and gentlemen. All the money. Where are all the stable coins launching right now from around the world, whether it's Singapore, Brazil, or whether it's Europe, or whether it's the United States thus far? Where are they all launching right now on the XRP ledger? That's right, the same ledger that Ondo Finance is tokenizing the U.S. debt in the form of bonds, right? Right. And who thinks they're going to be a winner? The former St. Louis Federal Reserve Bank official David Andofato thinks that Ripple could be the winner.
In facilitating processing payments, but it'll process U.S. dollars, euros, bitcoins, its native currency. It's currency agnostic. And so it's quite possible that this ruling actually benefits the payments processors as opposed to the virtual currencies that really want to be competing currency.
Listen to the front half here.
Does anybody use Ripple? Wow. I think you guys might be the winners. Does anybody use Ripple? Wow. I think you guys might be the winners.
And I think he's right. I think we might be the winners too. Dark Defenders thinks we're going to be winners also. XRP is about to remove the tension soon. The price is close to conjunction of the trend lines, the Fibonacci level, and the cup surface. Exponential moving averages are tight, and the trend line is squeezed. Targets, 222, 361 short term. Support at 207. Cup is hot. Get ready for the decision. Look at all of this happening here. What is going to happen? The tension area. Are we going to see it break out, or are we going to see it fall out and go below? I don't know. But I tell you, with all the momentum of the legislation and understanding that the House is now pitching the idea that they may push the stablecoin bill and the market infrastructure bill through the House simultaneously, gives me hope that we are going to get all the legislation we need for crypto this year. And then maybe we don't have to worry about it going down, but just exactly how far it may go up. Not financial advice from me or anyone else, just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.